Good evening, this is Avalon Caravan. This is a bit of a revisit, I suppose, really. Sort of a test as well, because it's new equipment to me. I thought I'd try and do things a little bit more professional if I could. Maybe not the way I speak it, but the equipment at least, you know. I've managed to pick up a nice Canon 80D, which is what the camera is using now. The Boya MM1 mic. A little ring light at the moment, but I'm waiting for a couple more to turn up, in the hope that, you know, I can do things a little bit better. You know, the phone's great for what I used it for, and I still will use it. But I think, you know, the quality of the lens and this thing hopefully will give me a little bit more versatility in what I do. Anyway, let's get back to it. Right, what am I doing? What have I done? About just over a year and a half ago now, I set off on this journey to live off-grid. I live in a little Marauder 4-berth caravan, which came as completely standard when I first took it over and brought it up to a little old farm where I'm parked up. It's had its difficulties at first, you know. I mean, it was very unhomely. I mean, caravans aren't the nicest of sort of things when you first get them. It was very beige, and there's quite a lot of beige stuff here, to be honest. So I set about sort of modifying it with sort of covers and this sort of thing to try and get a little bit better. I live here with my dog Loki, Springer Spaniel, and that's about it really. You know, there are people around that I know, so I'm not totally isolated here, but I'm left alone, which is nice. You know, it's one of those things that I'm not a loner, but I do, you know, don't mind my own company, which is a bonus when it's like this, to be honest. You know, so if you're thinking of going off grid, you know, make sure you're the sort of person that's gonna be happy with their own company. You know, anyway, back to I live in this Marauder 4-berth caravan. You know, recently it's got, you know, I saved up enough money over the winter because I sort of beat on a local pheasant shoot. I saved up some money from that. Bought myself one of the Glastonbury burner mini Cyclopses, which you've seen on some of the videos as well, which is an absolute game changer. You know, it removes the problem with condensation almost completely, and is great for it. Pre-boils all my water, or even boils it depending on how long I've got. Little Valiant sort of fan, which I rebuilt, was my mum's old one that broke down, so I ended up buying a new heat pad, generator bit, and a new motor, and now that's working as good as new. In fact, it's a lot quieter than it used to be when I first bought it. So that's another new thing that I've got recently. And I say this setup here, it's a Canon 80D and the Boya MM1 mic with the famous dead cat sat on it, like you've just seen hopefully in a video that I've just done. But this is sort of a sort of reintroduction to a ham. You know, my hand was forced really in some respects. You know, I live very frugally, to be fair. Work in a sort of local supermarket, which, although wages are, you know, reasonable for what I do, it would never cover my costs of living in a normal house with all the associated costs. Yes, a lot of this is my own sort of problems that I brought upon myself. You know, I do have debt from past, which takes up most of my wages, to be honest. So I can't live or benefit from the lower outgoings that most people would if they didn't have the debts that I have. But, you know, that's by the by. I like to enjoy myself. I live relatively within my means. A few treats here and then. I mean, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't go out, I don't do anything like that. So, you know, the little things like this, the vlogging, is my sort of entertainment, as it were. You know, the social media side of it is my entertainment, and I don't begrudge myself spending a little bit on that. I like to do things as good as I possibly can. Anyway, I'd like you to sort of join me on the journey, as it were, although some of you already have. I'm up to about 75 subscribers now, which is brilliant, and I'd love to, you know, get more and reach people. people who know me already as Avalon Caravan, and it was Green Life or Bust before that, will know that I'm not a glitzy performer. You know, I tell it how it is, and everything I do is I try to reuse, do things ethically, try to do things as greenly as I possibly can, and lower my carbon footprint. You know, I even, in my truck I've got outside, you know, I need that for what I do in the countryside. I know it probably isn't the right way to do it, but I do offset, you know, with Shell, although, you know, I'm a big multinational, I do offset. I pay a little bit more for my diesel every time I fill up with it. A percentage then goes to offset my carbon for that, which I know some people don't know, some people do know. Whether it does, I don't know. I can't vouch for what Shell do with it, but to me, I'd rather pay that little bit extra for my diesel and get them to offset my carbon. Yes, maybe a bit self-gratifying, thinking that you know, the fact that I drive a big truck, you know, I'm not having a problem with damaging the earth by doing this, but at least it's a little something I'm trying to do. You know, I've just also started getting my allotment into shape, with this, especially when you think about all what's going on at the moment, the ridiculous situation with the supermarkets not having any fresh sort of vegetable. Well, they've got the vegetables, but none of the salad stuff like tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, salad, this type of thing, which, to be honest, I'm not going to get into the politics of it, but I really don't believe that it's all to do with you know, the problems in Spain with the weather. You know, there's a lot more complicated things going on, and I don't think I'm going to get into that because it'll just get me annoyed. So I'll leave that as it is. You can make your own minds up. Anyway, that was just a little sort of reintroduction to who I am. I'm a sustainable living sort of caravan dweller. I live off grid. I live, you know, as quiet as I possibly can on the landscape. I use LPG gas to power my cooker. I've now got a wood burner from Glastonbury Burners, which basically gives me my heat and boils all my water. And I'm trying to grow all my own food now with the allotment. Also, I do forage as well, things like birch tapping, berries, this type of thing, making my own sloe gin. I know I don't really drink much, but I like to make some of my sloe gin for the winter. Also, you know, I do hunt, you know, and I know some people don't like the idea of that, who are sort of living this sort of lifestyle, each to their own. I don't see how it is a problem for people. Yes, people have their own sort of thoughts on it, but as far as I'm concerned, I hunt to gather. I gather my fruit and vegetables. I gather my own meat, which is much better than buying pre-packed sort of stuff that's had a pretty grim life most of the time. I get quite a lot of free stuff because obviously I work in a supermarket, so I tend to get a lot of free stuff, and I get as much of that as I can, although I can't freeze any of it. You know, I'll get it the day after and the day after that for, you know, a couple of days maybe while I'm at work, and that provides some of my food as well. So I do what I can. You know, it's one of those situations where it was forced on me at first, but now, you know, I've embraced it, and I think that it's where I'm meant to be. You know, I'm forging my own path forward. I'm starting to get back to my roots of my family. A long time, sort of grandma and this sort of thing used to be the wise woman of her village, although my dad probably, although the rest of it, he's dead now, would never sort of agree to that being the case. But everybody in the family knew she was the wise woman of the village. She was the herbalist. She's the people who laid the people out if they died. She was the person in the village who gave birth to everybody. You know, she was the wise woman. And as simple as that. And that's where I'm going. That's where I'm trying to head back to. I'm trying to head to, I've started researching herbalism, this type of thing, just to do that. So anyway, I just thought I'd drop by. This is mainly a test to see if this equipment works. I've never ever used it before. This is the first time I've switched this gear on as a complete unit, and I hope it actually comes across a little bit better. Anyway, this is Glenn from Avalon Caravan signing off. Hope you have a good evening and stay safe.